Genesis chapter 41, From Prison to Palace. Welcome back to Bible Breakdowns. Today we're diving into Genesis 41, where Joseph's story takes a dramatic turn from the prison to the palace. Let's go. We pick up 2 years after the events of Genesis 40. Joseph is still in prison, but Pharaoh has some wild dreams that no one can interpret. In his first dream, Pharaoh sees 7 healthy fat cows grazing by the Nile. Then 7 scrawny, ugly cows come out of the river and eat the fat cows. Weird, right? In his second dream, Pharaoh sees 7 healthy heads of grain growing on a single stalk. Then 7 thin, scorched heads of grain sprout up and swallow the healthy ones. Pharaoh is troubled, so he calls for all his magicians and wise men, but no one can explain the dreams. That's when the cupbearer finally remembers Joseph. He tells Pharaoh about the young Hebrew in prison who accurately interpreted his dream 2 years earlier. Pharaoh immediately sends for Joseph. When Joseph arrives, Pharaoh says, "I've heard you can interpret dreams," but Joseph gives all the credit to God. "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." Pharaoh shares his dreams, and Joseph explains, "The 2 dreams are one and the same. God is revealing to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 fat cows and the 7 healthy heads of grain represent 7 years of abundance in Egypt. The 7 scrawny cows and the 7 thin heads of grain represent 7 years of severe famine that will follow." Joseph continues, "The famine will be so bad that it will completely wipe out the memory of the good years. The reason Pharaoh had the dream twice is because God has firmly decided it, and it will happen soon." But Joseph doesn't stop there. He offers a solution. Pharaoh should appoint a wise and discerning man to oversee the land of Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, he should store up grain in preparation for the famine. Pharaoh is impressed, not just by Joseph's interpretation, but by his wisdom. He says, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Pharaoh appoints Joseph as second in command over all of Egypt, giving him authority to prepare the nation for what's coming. Talk about a turnaround. In one day, Joseph goes from being a prisoner to being the most powerful man in Egypt after Pharaoh. Joseph gets a royal makeover, new clothes, Pharaoh's signet ring, and a chariot, and he begins his work. He travels throughout Egypt, overseeing the collection and storage of grain during the 7 years of abundance. He even gets married to Asenath, the daughter of an Egyptian priest, and has 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. When the famine finally hits, it's as severe as Joseph predicted. But Egypt is ready. People from all over the region come to buy grain from Joseph, and Egypt becomes the center of survival during this crisis. Genesis 41 is a powerful reminder that God's timing is perfect. Joseph endured years of suffering, but God used it to position him for a critical moment. It also shows us the importance of giving God the credit, just like Joseph did when he said, "I cannot do it, but God can." Next time, we'll see how Joseph's rise to power sets the stage for a reunion with his brothers in Genesis 42. Stay tuned for more Bible breakdowns.